for supporting me on Patreon. It means so much to me. Hey, welcome back or welcome if you're new to my channel. I just got home. I'm back at work after my yearly vacation weeks, and I just thought, why not record when I am creating another one of the World of Warcraft official cookbook recipes. In this video, as you might see behind me, I am planning on creating the Mulgore Spice Bread. I read online that it is supposedly really yummy. So I do hope you will enjoy this cooking video in the middle of the week. So I hope you will enjoy this video, and let's get into it. Today we will be doing our first ever bread recipe from the World of Warcraft Cookbook. This is the Mulgore Spice Bread. Skill level is said to be expert, and I think it's just because it takes quite a while. Prepping takes 15 minutes, rising of the dough 1.5 hours, baking is 25 minutes, and it makes 1 loaf. Pairs well with butter and jam, various nut butters, roasted barley tea on page 208. And I looked into that, but it felt more like a fall recipe, and we are still in the late summer. Whether you're enjoying this bread on its own, fresh from the oven, or with a dollop of your favorite Tauren jam, you will know right away that this is no ordinary spice bread, but Mulgore Spice Bread. It's really that good, which is why it's now enjoyed across all of Azeroth. So what we need is 1.5 cups of warm milk, 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, 2 teaspoons instant yeast, and the Mulgore spices, which are not one of the 4 I created as my first ever video. You need half a teaspoon each of ground cardamom, ginger, cinnamon, and a pinch of each ground cloves, mace, 1 teaspoon salt, 2 tablespoons butter melted, and 3 cups of flour. You can see that I have pretty much everything here that I need. I am though missing 1 spice, which is called mace, which is the flower of a muscat nut. And from what I understand, you cannot switch out the mace for muscat nut or whatever. My very noisy fridge is doing its thing again, but you know, you're here for the ASMR a little bit, right? We have the ginger, the cardamom, cinnamon, and the cloves that we need to ground up, some salt, butter, milk, brown sugar, flour, and yeast. I don't know if it's the same in the States, but here in Sweden you can either buy this dried up yeast or a fresh one, but I bought the dried up. So let's begin the recipe. In a medium-sized bowl, combine the warm milk, brown sugar and the yeast and allow to sit for about 5 minutes until frothy. Add the spices and salt, followed by the butter and half the flour. Gradually add the remaining flour until the dough comes together and pulls away from the side of the bowl. First of all, we needed 1.5 cup of warm milk. So we need to put that to a light simmer. About it, let's see. Whatever, half a cup. And let's put the milk aside to boil. The milk is now starting to get a little bit hot, so let's prepare the rest of the recipe. We need 2 tablespoons of the brown sugar. Smell it all the way from there. And then we will have yeast. What I think is pretty rough with American recipes is that it says like 2 tablespoons of butter. I would rather have it in grams. Swedish butter packages, you get each amount in grams, but I mean, what could it be? Could 2 teaspoons be like 50 grams of melted butter? Maybe, can't be 100, right? So let's get to 50 grams. I think that should be right. I will use the same pan as I am creating the warm milk in. Okay, the milk is now let's wait to boil, and I will pour it over the brown sugar and then put in the yeast. And just gently whisk it until it blends. This should now be sitting for about 5 minutes until it gets a little bit frothy, and in the meanwhile I will put the milk and the butter back in the fridge because you don't need it quite yet. Okay, we just put the butter to gently melt, but maybe not so gently. The pot was still, or skillet, what you call it, was still pretty hot. But in the meanwhile, let's make the spices. And it's half a teaspoon of each. But since I don't have the mace, I don't know. I think it would be pretty good either way. Ginger. And the cloves that we will grind down. Not quite sure, maybe that many. Then we have the cardamom. A teaspoon of the cinnamon. Cinnamon and cardamom sounds so similar in English. That was all the spices except from the mace, but it is looking pretty frothy. So you need I think it was 1 teaspoon. Let's not take the wrong one. teaspoon of salt. Nope. You can see I'm not pretty. So tired after going back to work. And these spices. It feels great that I actually got some plastic containers with liters, millimeters, the metric system on one side, and then ounces and cups on. So we needed 3 in total, so we need 1.5 cup. Okay, so according to the recipe, after the spices, and let me tell you, it smells so good. It has like this autumny, almost like a cinnamon spice, or what do you call it, pumpkin spice latte. So we need to add butter, melted butter, and I did not mention it. You only needed 2 tablespoons. Probably took too much. Then 1.5 cup of flour. I think it's pretty fun. I'm starting out this new concept of me recording during, instead of, how to say it, I'm trying out recording and uploading twice a week is what I'm trying to say. And now I'm getting back to work, and it's been not hectic, I would say. If you wonder if you could see anything black, it's bits of the clothes. I don't mind. I didn't have brown ones. And I just feel happy if I manage to record anything without getting too overwhelmed. So I have only recorded editing, uploading for 4 years on YouTube on the weekends, and I'm starting to feel that I don't have a lot of spare time between this YouTube channel and working full time within my profession. Lastly, you would gradually add, when mixing, the rest of the flour. 2. Dip the dough out onto a lightly floured surface and knead for a few minutes until it bounces back when poked. Place in a lightly greased bowl and cover with a tea towel. Allow it to rise for about an hour or until doubled in size. Punch the dough back down. Preheat the oven to 425 Fahrenheit. Oh, I need to check out what that is in Celsius. Pulling the sides of the dough, gradually shape it into an oblong loaf. Place this on a sheet of parchment paper on top of a baking sheet and allow to rise for 30 minutes. Using a sharp knife, slash a few decorative marks on the top of the dough, then bake for about 25 minutes. I've been skipping recording some of the steps for this video. The kitchen was a mess. I had too little flour. I think that's the issue when you go from a American sizing to the metric system. But under here we have the loaf. And it looks alright. Only thing we needed to do is cut some decorative shapes in it. And I'm thinking a cross. And as you might notice, I am left-handed. This will now go into my very loud oven for 25 minutes and then it should be done. So after blood, sweat, tears and a total chaotic kitchen, the Mulgore Spice Bread is finally done. let me show you the loaf. It became truly massive. Maybe look at the size of my head, how big it is, this loaf. Does it sound crispy to you? It's pretty thick. You can truly feel it when you grip this bread, that it's also quite squishy. This bread needed way more flour than what the recipe said. But I wanted to cut a piece of it and taste it. It does smell delicious. Now when I'm looking all dangerous with a bread knife, I will slice the end piece. And it looks to be about that. It would probably be better with some butter, with some kind of topping. The book said jam, but this will be my breakfast bread this week. Really good. It was really fun to make, but it made me crazy. So I truly hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. See you soon.